me, Karen Ashley. You know me as Aisha, the Yellow Power Ranger, and you are watching Enemy Secrets. But hey, join me next year at Ranger Stop and Pop, June 13th through the 15th in Atlanta, Georgia. It is our final year, so come and have a fun time with us. It is like a family reunion of Power Ranger fans, Power Rangers, and we're just gonna have the best time ever. It's morphin' time.
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Oh, yes! This is Goldar, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast. Don't tune us out, tune us in.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin' Time! Link to the Morphin'. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Boken Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Chouriki. And we're Toku Secrets.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Toku Secrets Podcast, presented by animesecrets.org. And today we are doing episode 4 of our little review series of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Last time we took a look at episodes 11 through 15, where literally just to recap what happened there, it was just a bunch of filler episodes, fillers, and more fillers. Not much to really talk about there. And yeah, we had a totally fun time doing that one. But yeah, so today we're taking a look at 16 through 20. And to the season's credit, there's some things that happen here, although not too much. So yeah, but at least we're getting close to the halfway point, because after the next podcast that we do, we will officially be halfway done with the Sentai. So at least we're moving through this thing pretty fast, so we can at least feel happy for that. But with that said, we're going to jump in, to take a look at episode 16 through 20. No need to give a brief recap of last time. I already did that, just saying that, we had fillers, and more fillers. So with that, we're going to jump in with episode 16, Naughty, the Future Child, a filler episode, Shoei-centric, where this boy is brought from the future, is brought to the present, and the Baron Boy had target his pendant that brought him to the future. Brought him to the present in the hopes of using his powers. We have a character named Mikio. He's a recurring child supporting character. He's going to appear in a handful of episodes for the remainder of the series, but he makes his debut here. So yeah, but that's all the information here. What do we think about this one?
Anthony, isn't this the episode you and I ranted about a few years ago?
Oh yeah. This was such an annoying episode. I'm like, bruh.
I remember when I finished watching Ohranger for the first time. Anthony was like, remember that episode of that kid from the future? And we were both on a 20-minute tirade about how this episode was annoying.
Yeah, and I'm just like, dude, how the heck does a freaking music monster decides to open up a time travel portal with stone? It made no sense. I'm like, what is this?
Well, you see, Anthony, it's far too complex for you to understand.
Oh, shut up, Nate.
But
no, you're good, Nate. I had to say, it's like one of those episodes I'm so annoyed. It's like you just I can't even speak I can't even speak words.
No, it's cool. But I find this episode annoying because this is a huge cliche episode, not just for Sentai, but I remember seeing an episode like this in an episode when I was watching Uchu Cage Shider, one of the Metal Hero series. So I'm just going to assume that episodes like this were just a staple for not just Sentai, but the whole tokusatsu genre. at the time, where it's like the Ranger, there's this supernatural child type. Now, granted, this kid isn't really supernatural so much as he's just brought to the future, but it's almost
Yeah.
kind of the same principle applies. Like they just get brought here, and and this could open up the possibility for like some type of ongoing story arc, but nope, it's just like the result of some MacGuffin item of the day, and then it ends up not being mentioned at all. And I always find these episodes really annoying. I've seen it in the Showa era, God knows how many times. Although to be fair, there was one time where they actually ended up kind of doing something with it in Changeman. So Changeman, I'll give the pass to because they actually did something with it. But aside from that, it's like you know it it doesn't do anything. You just have this child. You have, in the case of Sentai, you're always going to have a character be there, and in some cases the character who's the main character trying to protect them, it could relate to their character, but in this case it doesn't do anything for Shoei. You could have replaced Shoei with Goro, Yuji, or anyone, and the episode would be exactly the same.
Yep.
So honestly, honestly, this might actually be one of the worst versions of a typical tokusatsu episode that is already pretty lame and stupid. So to be the worst type of to be like one of the worst episodes of a genre that's already a pretty bad genre, that's an accomplishment, but not one that you want to have.
Yeah.
It's even weirder in hindsight because this episode does kind of establish time travel, which does kind of play a major role in some key aspects later in the season. Why isn't this tied to those?
Okay, so let me piggyback off of that, Patrick.
Mhm.
As the person who's never seen Ohranger and has no idea what's coming in the future, but has a vague idea just from being in a Sentai fandom.
Mhm.
So here are my premises I know of Ohranger. After Dispatch, not a whole lot happens until the King Ranger appears. He's a kid, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then nothing happens again until the endgame arc.
Well, kind of.
In a very general sense, I think I'm
Yeah.
correct from what everyone tells me.
Mhm.
But to me, when I was watching this, I was like, huh, you know what's really cool? Is if this was a bit of an entrance to how Ricky, the King Ranger, intros into the season.
Mhm.
Using time travel to say, hey, I'm a kid from the future, sent back in time because the Baranoia army has wreaked havoc and we're in this last bastion of human survival, humanity's last hope. And they sent me back with the King Ranger powers, which is much more advanced than the Chouriki powers you have today. And we made a new development. Here's a Pyramidas to help you fight. Like,
Yeah,
that
that
took
an
that took
interesting
plan.
premise.
That sounds way better than what we actually got.
okay. And on that note, if our resident fan of the podcast is listening and is still writing these scripts for his own doing of the season, and you take this idea, I want credit.
It actually sounds very similar to to the actual story behind how Sam came in Power Rangers SPD, where he's from a future where the Rangers couldn't defeat Morgana, Shorty, and Devastation, and the world's been taken over. So he's traveled. I mean, granted,
SPD,
SPD
yeah.
already takes. He already granted SPD is already in the future. Well, not anymore, but he's traveling from like the further future to help the SPD Rangers so that the world doesn't turn into the world that he lives in. Like it's very similar to that type of premise. Which, okay, Sam is obviously not a great Ranger character, but that's still kind of a pretty cool story when you think about it.
I mean, Nate, I'm ripping this idea off of Terminator.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
But yeah, where do you think they got that idea from?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Excuse me, Terminator came out at least 10 years before this came out.
No, that's what I'm saying. Terminator came out first, is what I'm saying. The SPD got the idea from them, is what I'm saying.
Oh, mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as this episode is concerned, I mean, the supernatural child, and again, I know that that's not. I know that this is technically not the supernatural child, but it's still pretty much the same thing. I despise those episodes because usually, if not always, like they're episodes that have potential to advance the plot, but they end up just being filler episodes. Even in good shows that I genuinely like, those types of filler episodes just bug the hell out of me, and this episode is no exception. Like I'm probably I don't want to rank it as low as we gave some of the filler episodes in the previous one down, but this is still it's like a 3 at best.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the more I think about it, the more this episode just really gets on my nerves.
Yep. It's like a 2 or something.
2.
Go with a 2. Why not? Doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah. Okay, now we can move on to episode 17, which is the first of a 2-part episode where the Rangers find a mad scientist. It's Okay, episode 17. The first one of this is called Plunder, the Transformation Brace, where a scientist named Kuroda, he steals Yuji's power brace. He wants to ally himself with the Paranoia. We find out while the Rangers are fighting the Paranoia that Kuroda's son, Shigeru, was actually a cyborg.
Before you
And then,
continue,
yeah,
wasn't that the same actor who played as Doris Sphinx in Zoo Ranger?
yep, it was. It
I
was.
knew it.
Yeah, and I think he voiced a It was either a Die Ranger or a Copy Ranger, but he voiced a monster in one of those other 2 Sentais as well. I don't think
Oh,
he played a
okay.
human form, but yeah. Um, but yeah, he is. But yeah, his son is a cyborg. We'll find out more details in the next episode. But the Rangers get Yuji's power brace back. They defeat the latest machine beast, and then they're vowed that they're going to save Kuroda and Shigeru. What do we think about this episode?
Mm,
It tried to be good.
yeah. This is the first time where we really felt like they tried to do plot.
I have issues with this. I'm going to mainly go off it in the next episode, but I I do think that they're trying to do a plot here, but I feel like you could have written this episode to kind of have at least one of the Rangers be a bit more directly involved here. Like maybe Kuroda is either an old friend of one of the Rangers or who disappeared, or maybe he's the father of one of them and, just disappeared and was estranged. You could add a bit more emotional depth here because there is like, there's an interesting idea for an episode here, but the Young Rangers themselves, it's difficult to invest in it when the Young Rangers themselves are not exactly intriguing characters and they don't have much connection other than just being what's effectively just supporting characters for these 2. So you could have easily just tweaked it to have at least one of the Rangers, maybe Goro preferably, have a little bit of a connection to these 2 characters. But yeah, I'm probably thinking I want to give it a 6 just because it's trying, but I can't give it anything more than a 6 because the Rangers just don't do much here.
Yeah, it's like a 5.
It's a 5 for me too.
I'm gonna go with a 6, Nate. I see the attempt for what they're doing. I don't necessarily think it's a great attempt, but it's still the most attempts I've seen in the season. So I got to give it some points for at least trying to do something. And
Yeah.
we'll see how they do in next episode.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be good, unfortunately. So we have episode 18, Dad's Unusual Love, which concludes that 2-part episode where so apparently the son Shigeru, he died in a car accident. Kuroda transformed him into a cyborg in desperation to keep his son alive. And through this, he kind of just got driven insane and believes that machines are fit to rule the world because they're much harder to kill compared to humans. He tries to join forces with the Paranoia. The Paranoia turn him into this new cyborg monster. They fuse him with a machine beast, and he captures the Ohrangers, but then Shigeru stops him, refusing to go through with his father's plan, begging him to stop. The monster, it was called Bara Ivy, gets separated from Kuroda. Kuroda um, gets killed in the process, but the Ohrangers are able to save Shigeru, defeat Bara Ivy, and restore Shigeru back to life, and everything ends all happy handy dandy, even though this kid just lost his father. So yeah, what do we think about this episode?
That last sentence you said is exactly why I'm kind of like, this is not a great way to end. The kid lost his dad. He discovers he's a robot. He basically died, and then they strip all the robot parts out of him and make him a real boy, kind of like Pinocchio.
Uh-huh.
So what the hell,
I think the thing that really annoys me about this episode is that the backstory that they give Kuroda is actually a very interesting premise. And it just kind of leaves me thinking like, wow, like you gave us a two-parter revolving around this guy. Why not have him join the Paranoia as like a permanent general? Like
Yeah.
he could be a
Yeah.
general, or you could have him be like a Juzo Fuwa / Bosco type of villain where he's more of a freelance guy trying to do his own thing, where like he's a human who wants to become a machine or something like that. Like it it honestly, I mean, we would still have the problem with the Rangers themselves not being interesting, but honestly, Kuroda, okay, maybe he wouldn't be on Gray's level of a great villain if he was allowed to stay as a recurring general, but he could be contending for like a top 15 spot or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it's a very intriguing idea, and the backstory that they give him is honestly amazing. And you're just wasting it by having him amount to nothing more than just a glorified character of the day who only appears in like
Mhm.
one extra episode. And that honestly really gets under my skin.
Yeah, this was one of
Wasted
those
potential.
they should have played the long game with this, because this idea conceptually would be a great season long arc thing, and they threw it away in 2 episodes. Like, nah, screw you.
Yeah, and this is saying something because there's going to be a lot. There's already been a lot of these things with Ohranger, but this might actually be probably the biggest wasted opportunity that they had.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, Kuroda's backstory is great, but they waste it. And I mean, originally I wanted to give this a 4, but I kind of want to bog this thing down to like a 2 or a 3, like maybe a 3 or a 2 now, just because like, why did you waste this opportunity? Like, what's wrong with you? It just really gets under my skin.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 for that reason. Like, I like it, but I can't give it full credit.
I might go 3.5 on this one.
Hmm.
I might give it a 4 because, like I said, it's decent, but it's a waste of potential of what more we could have got.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to episode 19, the new Robo's Red Impact. This is actually it's a Goro-centric episode, and it's the debut of a new mech. We'll talk about it briefly. Where Ohranger Robo gets overpowered by the latest machine beast, and the Ohrangers are desperate, and their last hope lies in an older mech that killed its previous pilot. Um, so uh, we get the debut of a new mech called Red Puncher. It's a personal mech of O-Red. It was originally created as a prototype to Ohranger Robo. It got buried beneath the earth after it proved to be too powerful to control. Um, Miura warns them not to use it, but Goro, in desperation, is able to uncover it and um, commandeer it. And when he remembers what he's fighting for, Goro manages to tame Red Puncher. Red Puncher, this is the Red Battle Zord for all you Power Ranger Zeo fans. It's a faster, more agile robot. It's got a boxing theme to it. It has piston fists to allow it to punch enemies rapidly, and it has Gatling guns mounted on its fists. So a pretty cool looking thing. What do we think about Red Puncher, by the way?
I like it.
I like it too. It's one of my favorite Zords from this season.
Now, I'd probably say it's a step up compared to Ohranger Robo because it's a very unique looking one. With its design, and I love the boxing theme that it has to it. Plus, it's also kind of really creative with the boxing theme because the only other boxing one I can remember is Tetra Boy from Jetman, but
Mhm.
this is actually a bit better than that because it's like its fists are literally piston, so it can like pump back and forth. That's kind of a creative gimmick. Plus, I mean, it has guns on its fists, so how much more of an intimidating boxer can you get? So, I mean, it's not an amazing looking mech, but it's actually pretty cool, and it's probably a little bit better to look at than Ohranger Robo, if I'm being honest about it. Did you want to add anything, Patrick?
Not really. I mean, I don't like the whole storyline of him having to tame it. I thought that was unnecessary.
Oh yeah. The story sucks. It was mostly just about the mech itself.
You want to know
Yeah,
something crazy? Zeo did handle this way better. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
but this episode,
Yeah, that's
At least with at
something.
least with at least with
Mhm.
how they introduced this Zord, because they mentioned that, oh, this was a design similar to how the Alien Rangers control their Zords or whatever through telepathic link or whatever,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
Tommy had to be like extremely, like, he had to be in the zone when he's using this thing, so it made sense for the robot not to be like freaking out on him because he's too he's too wrapped up in other things, thinking about other stuff or whatever. So
Yeah, because this
look,
was during the arc where he meets his brother, which
yeah,
I mean that story arc is kind of a mixed bag because it ultimately just amounts to David being a character that people can suspect is the Gold Ranger, but
which he
it's
should have been, but yeah.
but it still was an interesting idea with how they handled the debut of the Red Battle Zord. Um, and
But just got one fun fact also before we go into more thoughts about this episode and give ratings. Shunpei Kirino, he's the original pilot for Red Puncher. He is played by Kei Shin Dachiya. He previously played Ken Hoshikawa, Five Blue, the Blue Ranger of Shikyu Sentai Five Man. So that's three former Sentai actors that we've now seen on this. We have Miura, who's All Ranger and Big One. We had Burai's actor in one episode, and now we have Five Blue. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
pretty cool. But yeah, we already kind of leaned into like what we were thinking about with this episode. Do we want to get more further thoughts?
yeah, I just want to say, I think part of why the Zeo episode did it better is we gave real development to Tommy in like helping. So, like, hey, you have to master this new tech. You got to clear your mind, and he's really distracted by David, which makes sense. So,
That I think what would have made this episode a little bit better is that most of the episode is all about Miura being reluctant to use uh Red Puncher and then Goro trying to use it. I think, and you could have easily tweaked this to be a better episode revolving around Goro. Have Goro have Goro be the one who's reluctant to use Red Puncher because maybe the former pilot was a personal friend of his. Like maybe he was supposed to be an Ohranger alongside Goro, and then he got killed, and then Goro was just kind of looking at Red Puncher as if like, no, I'm not going to use this thing. This thing killed my friend. Screw it. I hate it. And he's put in a situation where he has to where he has no choice but to use it in order to save the earth, because that honestly would have made the moment where the former pilot reminds Goro what he's fighting for a bit more powerful, and it probably would have felt more in place if they did something like that. Now, granted, you still have the problem that Patrick mentioned about how just having to tame this mech in general when it's not a living thing or anything, that's still kind of lame, but it would have given Goro something vaguely resembling a character, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what do we want to give this one out of 10?
4. I don't know.
I'm probably gonna
I'll probably give it a
give
4
it like
too.
maybe a 4. 4 is good.
I think 4 is fine.
Okay. Then let's wrap this up with our the next episode, episode 20, Iron Fist, 100 Bursts, which is all about Goro and Shohei, where Goro has to train with Shohei's old boxing coach. When the latest Machine Beast steals Shohei's ultimate boxing move to overpower Red Puncher. We find out that Shohei is a former boxer who trained under a coach named Iwashima. Iwashima is played by Yuzo Hayakawa. He was Jia, who was Kaori's butler, Kaori being White Swan in Chojin Sentai Jetman. So, not a Sentai actor, but still a returning actor nonetheless. And yeah, what do we think about this one?
Mm.
I didn't like this one because it just kind of felt random to have Green basically beat his boxer, and he gets injured in the first 2 minutes, and then Goro has to go learn to be a boxer to continue to get better as a pilot of the Red Panther. Like the entire plot just seemed like they were trying to give Green some background, but they kept it red focused, which I understand why it's red focused, because it's the red Panther and not the green Panther. But then why couldn't Goro have been the one that was boxing and like been the boxer prior to all this? Like, maybe he wants
that would have made so much sense. I don't know why they decided to make Green the boxer.
Stop using logic. We don't use that around here.
No, you.
Although what's funny is that Green does pilot Red Puncher in one episode, but not that that's relevant, but still.
You know.
Although the thing that annoys me is that at the end they imply that like Goro and Shohei have like this type of strong friendship, and it's like, no, you don't. Where did this come from? This is completely unearned. Like
Where? I
Ryu,
was like, where?
like Ryu and Guy, you guys aren't. Not even close. So yeah,
and by the way, if Goro wasn't even gonna like, why did Goro need to train to box if he wasn't actually gonna be the one boxing the thing, and just because it's gonna be Red Puncher fighting the whole time?
Because reasons. But yeah, this is another episode that it's I I don't want to rate it too low because it's not an egregious episode, but it's still like just a 5 at best for me.
Yeah, it's a 5.
It's a 5.
4.
Of course, Patrick has to be contrarian.
I mean, it makes sense. I can't blame him in this case.
No, I don't either. It's just funny.
Get me out of here.
Nah.
Well, yeah, so once again, for the second time in a row, we're wrapping this up within just half an hour. But again, everybody listening, it's not our fault. Just blame Ohranger for not giving us much of anything to talk about.
So
But
what we're saying is that Ohranger's a new decade.
yeah, exactly. Right down to it being an anniversary season. Um,
Oh God.
but yeah, so next time we'll be now. It looks like next time, outside of introducing a mech combination, we're going to get another string of filler episodes. But the good news is, after the next podcast, we will officially be slightly over halfway done with the Sentai. So there is a
Yeah.
silver lining to that. So, and then after that, we will be taking a look at the debut of King Ranger. And so yeah, we are definitely making progress with eventually being done with Ohranger, so we can at least be happy with that. But yeah, next time we'll be taking a look at everything up to episode 25. We'll give, I mean, technically we're supposed to give our updated tier rankings for the Ohranger characters, but there probably won't be anything to update by that point. But uh I mean, it's just the rules that we set for the podcast, so that's just how it is. But yeah, uh, we are almost halfway done with Ohranger. I'm sure everybody here is happy for that, and we will catch you guys next time when we take a look at Ohranger. And also be sure to check us out when we return to Go Juger as well, and definitely check us out when we're done with Ohranger because we got a lot more fun Sentais to check out after that. But until then, bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.